Hello, and welcome back to Moon Tales, children's bedtime stories and meditations designed to make bedtime a dream. In the heart of a sparkling sunlit cove where the ocean kissed the land, there lived a playful young otter named Finn. With his sleek, shiny fur and bright, curious eyes, Finn spent his days sliding down mossy rocks, chasing colourful fish and collecting shiny shells along the shore. But more than anything, Finn loved bubbles. Not just any bubbles, magical bubbles. You see, in this enchanted cove, bubbles weren't ordinary at all. They shimmered with colours that changed depending on the sunlight, and some even carried messages or images from faraway places. These weren't bubbles blown by the wind or the sea. They were created by the mysterious Bubble Weaver, a legendary sea creature whose talent brought joy and wonder to everyone who lived near the cove. The Bubble Weaver was a kind-hearted jellyfish with tentacles that glowed like strands of moonlight. She lived in the depths of the ocean, in a hidden grotto known as the Bubble Glade. Every morning, her bubbles floated up through the water, carrying messages of kindness, dreams, and happy memories. For Finn and his friends, these magical bubbles were more than a source of fun. They were a symbol of connection and magic in their little world. One sunny morning, as Finn lay on his back in the gentle waves, he watched a bubble drift past him. It was a large one, shimmering with swirling patterns of gold and silver. Excitedly, he reached out with his paw, gently nudging the bubble closer. When it popped, it revealed a tiny, glowing image of a seahorse twirling in a coral garden. Finn giggled, the warm feeling of the magical moment settling in his chest. "I wonder what today's bubbles will bring," Finn exclaimed, flipping onto his belly and swimming toward the cove's gathering spot, where the animals often shared their discoveries. The sandy cove was bustling with activity. A crab scuttled by, waving its claws excitedly, while a group of playful fish darted in and out of the kelp, chasing smaller bubbles. Finn's best friend, Piper the puffin, perched on a nearby rock, squawking in delight as a bubble floated past her. "Did you see this one?" Piper chirped, pointing with her wing to a bubble that held a tiny star-shaped charm. "It's so shiny! I think I'm going to add it to my collection," Finn laughed. "You and your shiny things, Piper. Let's see if we can find more." But as the morning passed, something strange began to happen. The bubbles started to appear less frequently. The ones that did surface seemed smaller, their colours dimmer, and some even popped before reaching the surface. The playful energy in the cove began to wane as the animals noticed the change. Finn furrowed his brow, his playful demeanour shifting to concern. "This isn't right," he murmured, watching as a single, lackluster bubble drifted by. "The Bubble Weaver's bubbles have never looked like this before." Piper tilted her head. "Maybe it's just a slow day. The ocean has its moods after all." Finn shook his head. "No, something's wrong. The bubbles are important, not just to us but to the whole ocean. If they've stopped, it means the Bubble Weaver needs help." The animals gathered around, their murmurs filled with worry. Finn felt a determination rise in his chest. He wasn't just a playful otter anymore. He was the one who would get to the bottom of this mystery. "I'm going to find the Bubble Weaver," Finn declared, standing tall on his hind legs. "If the bubbles aren't working, there must be a reason. Maybe I can help her fix it." Piper flapped her wings nervously. "Are you sure? The Bubble Glade is deep in the ocean, far from here. It's dangerous." Finn nodded, his gaze steady. may not know what I'll find, but I can't just sit here while the magic fades. The bubble weaver has given us so much. It's time someone gave back." The other animals murmured their support, though a few still looked nervous. Piper fluttered down to Finn's side. "Well, I can't let you go alone. Someone has to make sure you don't get lost out there." Finn grinned. "Thanks, Piper. Let's get ready. We've got a journey ahead of us." As the sun began to dip lower in the sky, casting the ocean in hues of orange and gold, Finn and Piper prepared for their adventure. The waves lapped at the shore as if encouraging them, and the distant calls of seabirds filled the air with a sense of anticipation. Finn looked out at the vast ocean, a mix of excitement and resolve in his heart. Whatever lay ahead, he was ready to face it. The first step of the journey to the Bubble Glade had begun. The next morning, Finn and Piper stood at the edge of the cove, the rising sun painting the ocean in shimmering shades of pink and gold. Finn's bag, crafted from woven seaweed, was slung over his shoulder and filled with essentials. A small conch shell for drinking water, some kelp rolls, wrapped tightly for snacks, and a shiny pearl he always carried for good luck. Piper had her own small satchel, tied snugly around her neck, containing maps she had sketched of the nearby reefs and a few shiny trinkets she couldn't bear to leave behind. "Do you think we're ready?" Piper asked, peering out at the vast expanse of ocean. Her usual confident squawk was softer now, tinged with uncertainty. Finn gave her a reassuring smile, though his heart thudded in his chest. "We'll figure it out together. Besides, we have to try. The bubbles need us." The two friends dove into the cool, crisp water, their bodies slicing gracefully through the gentle waves. Below them, the underwater world came to life. Schools of silvery fish darted past like shimmering clouds, and swaying kelp forests provided a peaceful rhythm to their journey. But as they swam farther from the cove, the familiar sights of home gave way to darker, murkier waters. It wasn't long before they encountered their first challenge. A thick tangle of seaweed, knotted and twisted, loomed ahead like an underwater maze. Finn hesitated, his tail flicking nervously. "We have to get through," he said, scanning the dense forest of kelp. "The Bubble Glade is on the other side." Piper flapped her wings underwater, looking skeptical. "What if we get stuck? Or worse, what if there's something hiding in there?" Finn swallowed hard. "We'll stay close and move carefully. We can't turn back now." With that, the two friends plunged into the seaweed maze. The thick strands swayed gently, brushing against Finn's fur and Piper's feathers. The water here was darker, muffled and full of eerie shadows. Every creak and groan of the kelp made Piper jump. "Do you hear that?" she whispered, clutching one of her shiny trinkets nervously. Finn paused, listening. At first, there was only the sound of water moving through the kelp, but then a low rumble echoed around them. Finn's fur bristled. Before they could react, a large shape emerged from the shadows. A grumpy, green sea turtle with a moss-covered shell. His eyes were squinty and he looked anything but pleased to see them. "What are you doing in my kelp forest?" the turtle grumbled, his voice deep and gravelly. "No one passes through here without my permission." Finn stepped forward, keeping his tone respectful but firm. "We're trying to reach the Bubble Glade. The bubbles have stopped working and we need to help the Bubble Weaver." The turtle raised a skeptical eyebrow. "The Bubble Weaver, you say? Everyone talks about her, but no one knows how hard it is to get there. This forest is my home, and I don't like strangers wandering through it." Piper fluttered nervously. "We don't mean any harm, sir. We're just trying to help." The turtle regarded them for a long moment before sighing. "If you want to pass, you'll have to prove you're worthy. Show me you're not just some reckless youngsters flitting around my home." Finn glanced at Piper, then nodded. "What do we need to do?" The turtle's mouth curled into a sly grin. "Simple. Untangle the kelp knots around my home. They've been bothering me for weeks, and I can't sleep with them creaking and groaning all night." Finn and Piper exchanged a look. The task seemed straightforward enough, but as they got to work, they quickly realized it wasn't as easy as it seemed. The kelp was tough and slippery. The knots wound so tightly that their paws and wings ached from pulling and twisting. Piper huffed, her feathers drooping. "This is impossible. We'll never finish." Finn paused, his chest heaving, and thought for a moment. Then he remembered something his mother had once told him. Sometimes the best way to solve a problem is to look at it from a different angle. "Piper," he said, his eyes lighting up, "let's try working together. You hold the kelp steady and I'll pull the knots loose." With their teamwork, the knots began to give way. It wasn't long before they had untangled the last strand, leaving the turtle's home free and clear. The turtle grunted in approval. "Not bad. Maybe you two aren't so hopeless after all." "Does that mean we can pass?" Finn asked hopefully. The turtle gave a slow nod. "You've earned it, but be careful. The ocean beyond here is full of challenges, and not everyone you meet will be as understanding as me." Finn and Piper thanked the turtle and swam on, the kelp forest thinning behind them. The water grew colder, the sunlight dimmer, and the currents stronger. Finn could feel the weight of the journey pressing on him, but he kept his focus on the thought of the bubble weaver and the magic she brought to their world. Their next challenge came when they reached a narrow canyon, its walls rising sharply on either side. The current here was swift and powerful, pulling at Finn and Piper with relentless force. Jagged rocks jutted out from the canyon walls, threatening to snag them if they weren't careful. "We'll have to swim against the current," Finn said, his voice steady despite the tension in his chest. Piper looked dubious. "Against it? Are you sure?" "It's the only way through," Finn replied. "Stick close to me, and don't let go." With every ounce of strength, they pushed forward, the current tugging at them with every stroke. Piper's wings ached and Finn's muscles burned, but they refused to give up. When a particularly strong wave sent Piper tumbling backward, Finn grabbed her wing and pulled her close. "You've got this, Piper," he shouted over the roar of the water. "Just keep going!" With renewed determination, they pressed on, their movements synchronized as they navigated the treacherous canyon. Finally, they emerged on the other side, gasping for breath but exhilarated by their success. Piper flopped onto a nearby rock, panting. "That was intense," Finn chuckled, his chest heaving. "We did it though, one step closer to the bubble glade." As they rested, Finn couldn't help but think about the challenges they'd already faced, and the ones still to come. But despite the obstacles, he felt a growing sense of purpose. The bubbles and the bubble weaver were counting on him. Finn looked at Piper, a determined gleam in his eye. "Let's keep going, we can't stop now." Piper nodded, her usual confidence returning. "Right behind you, Finn." Together they set off once more, the vast ocean stretching out before them like an uncharted map of possibilities. Finn and Piper swam steadily onward, the murky waters gradually giving way to clearer, more vibrant surroundings. Strange, shimmering light patterns danced on the seafloor, hinting at the mysteries ahead. Schools of fish swirled around them in dazzling formations, their silvery scales catching the dappled sunlight filtering through the waves. The pair's spirits lifted as they approached a vast coral reef known as the Kaleidoscope Gardens. It was a place Finn had only heard about in whispered tales. A sprawling underwater landscape of twisting coral spires, glowing anemones and colourful creatures. Every inch of the reef seemed alive, pulsing with a gentle, magical energy. "This place is incredible," Piper breathed, her voice filled with awe as she darted ahead to inspect a cluster of glowing sea fans. Finn nodded, his wide eyes scanning the vibrant scene. "It's even more beautiful than I imagined." As they swam deeper into the gardens, a melodic hum filled the water around them. At first it was faint, like the whisper of the tide, but it grew louder the closer they got to the heart of the reef. Following the sound, they found themselves in a clearing surrounded by towering coral formations. In the center of the clearing stood a strange figure, a manta ray with shimmering, iridescent wings that seemed to glow from within. The manta swayed gently to the rhythm of its own song, its movements as fluid as the current. Around it, colorful bubbles floated upward, each one catching the light and reflecting a different hue. "Welcome, travelers," the manta ray said in a voice that resonated like a deep chord of music. "I am Lyris, keeper of the Kaleidoscope Gardens. What brings you to this enchanted place?" Finn stepped forward, trying to sound confident. "We're on a journey to find the bubble weaver. The bubbles in our cove have stopped working, and we need to figure out why." Lyris's shimmering wings paused mid-sway. "The bubble weaver, you say? It has been many tides since anyone spoke her name here. You are brave to seek her, but the path is not without peril. We'll face whatever it takes," Piper piped up, puffing out her chest. "The bubbles are too important to our home." The manta ray regarded them with a thoughtful gaze, then nodded slowly. "Very well, but before you continue, you must prove you are worthy to carry on this journey." Finn exchanged a nervous glance with Piper. "How?" Lyris's wings spread wide, casting a rainbow of light across the clearing. "You must solve the puzzle of the tides." With a sweep of her wings, she conjured a swirling column of water in the center of the clearing. Inside the column floated dozens of glowing orbs, each one pulsing with its own unique rhythm. "The orbs represent the harmony of the ocean," Lyris explained, "but they are out of balance. You must realign them so their pulses create a melody once more. Only then will the path to the bubble weaver reveal itself." Finn studied the orbs, their light reflecting in his wide eyes. "Okay, we'll do our best." As they began the puzzle, Finn and Piper quickly realized it was a test of patience and teamwork. Each time they touched an orb, its pulse would change, affecting the rhythm of the others. Finn's sharp eyes and Piper's quick movements were key as they worked to find the right sequence. "Try moving that one," Piper squawked, pointing with her wing. Finn nudged an orb and the pulses shifted, forming a fragment of a melody. "Almost there! Let's adjust these two." Little by little, they pieced the melody together. Finally, as Finn gave the last orb a gentle nudge, the pulses aligned into a harmonious song that echoed through the reef. Lyris beamed, her wings glowing brighter. "You have done well. The ocean recognizes your determination and unity. The path is yours to take." With a flick of her tail, Lyris sent a stream of glowing bubbles spiraling upward. They floated toward the edge of the reef, forming a trail of light. "Follow the bubbles," Lyris said. "They will lead you to the next part of your journey. May the currents guide you safely." Finn and Piper thanked Lyris and swam after the glowing trail. The bubbles led them beyond the kaleidoscope gardens and into a vast expanse of open water. Here, the ocean felt endless, stretching in all directions like a great blue desert. The only signs of life were the occasional flicker of a fish or the distant shadow of a whale. "This feels different," Piper muttered, her usual energy subdued. "Like we're being watched." Finn's fur prickled as he scanned the vast emptiness. "Stay close. We'll be okay." As they swam deeper, the glowing trail began to flicker, the bubbles dimming as if fading away. Before they could react, a swirling current enveloped them, pulling them into a spiraling vortex. Finn and Piper tumbled helplessly, their cries swallowed by the rushing water. When the current finally released them, they found themselves in a strange and eerie place. The water here was dark and murky, with strange shapes looming in the shadows. A cold, unnatural silence hung in the air, broken only by the occasional creak of unseen movement. "I don't like this," Piper whispered, her voice trembling. Finn's jaw tightened as he tried to steady his breathing. "We have to keep moving. The bubbles led us here for a reason." Suddenly, a low growl echoed through the water. From the shadows emerged a fearsome eel, its sleek body coiled like a snake and its glowing eyes fixed on Finn and Piper. "What do we have here?" the eel hissed, its voice like a slithering whisper. "Little travelers lost in my domain." Finn swallowed hard but stood his ground. "We're just passing through. We don't want any trouble." The eel's grin revealed rows of sharp teeth. "Oh, but you've already caused trouble by entering my territory. No one passes without paying a price." "What kind of price?" Piper demanded, her feathers bristling. The eel circled them slowly, its tail stirring the murky water. "A riddle," it said at last. "Answer correctly, and I'll let you go. Fail, and you'll stay here forever." Finn and Piper exchanged a worried glance, but there was no turning back now. "We'll answer your riddle," Finn said firmly. The eel's grin widened. "Very well. Listen closely." It paused for dramatic effect, then spoke. "I have no voice, yet I can sing. I have no hands, yet I can bring comfort to some and fear to others. What am I?" Finn's mind raced as he repeated the riddle to himself. Piper looked equally puzzled, her beak moving silently as she tried to work it out. "The current!" Finn blurted suddenly, his eyes lighting up. "The answer is the current?" The eel's grin faltered, and it let out an irritated hiss. "Clever little otter. Fine, you may pass. But beware, this ocean holds dangers far greater than me." With a flick of its tail, the eel disappeared into the shadows, leaving Finn and Piper to continue their journey. Though their hearts still pounded from the encounter, they felt a renewed sense of determination. As they swam onward, the murky waters began to clear, and a faint, shimmering light appeared in the distance. Finn felt a flicker of hope. They were getting closer to the bubble glade, and to the answers they sought. Finn and Piper swam toward the shimmering light in the distance, their hearts pounding with a mix of anticipation and trepidation. The ocean around them seemed to grow quieter, the once vibrant waters giving way to a stillness that felt heavy with mystery. The glowing trail of bubbles they had been following had faded entirely, leaving them to rely on the faint shimmer ahead to guide their way. As they drew closer, the light resolved into a swirling vortex of colors, a kaleidoscope of blues, pinks, and golds that danced like fireflies trapped in a whirlpool. At the center of this mesmerizing display was a towering crystal-like structure, its surface glimmering with what appeared to be countless threads of light. It was unlike anything Finn or Piper had ever seen. "Is that it?" Piper whispered, her voice barely audible. Finn nodded, his gaze fixed on the structure. "It has to be the bubble glade." The two friends approached cautiously, the water around them humming with an almost imperceptible vibration. As they neared the base of the structure, they saw that the glowing threads of light were not merely static. They pulsed and shifted, creating intricate patterns that seemed alive. Some threads stretched outward into the water, forming delicate bridges of light, while others spiraled upward toward the surface. Suddenly, a deep, resonant voice echoed through the water. "Who dares approach the bubble weaver's domain?" Finn and Piper froze as the voice reverberated around them. From behind the crystal-like structure emerged a majestic figure, a sea dragon with shimmering scales that reflected every color of the spectrum. Its long, sinuous body moved with grace, and its eyes glowed with an ancient wisdom. "I am Oriana, the guardian of the bubble glade," the dragon said, her voice both commanding and serene. "Why have you come here?" Finn took a deep breath and stepped forward. "I'm Finn, and this is my friend Piper. We've come because the bubbles in our cove have stopped working. We need to find the bubble weaver to understand why." Oriana regarded them silently for a moment, her luminous eyes studying their faces. "The bubble weaver's threads have indeed been disrupted," she said at last. "But the reason is not as simple as you might think." "What do you mean?" Piper asked, tilting her head. "The threads that create the bubbles are woven from the dreams and hopes of the ocean's creatures," Oriana explained. "But recently, the harmony of these threads has been disturbed. The dreams have grown heavy with doubt, fear, and uncertainty, causing the bubbles to falter." Finn's brows furrowed. "Is there a way to fix them?" "There is," Oriana said, her voice grave. "But it will not be easy. You must journey into the heart of the glade, where the bubble weaver herself resides. Only she can mend the threads, but she has grown distant and distrustful. You will need to prove your intentions are pure." "How do we do that?" Piper asked, her feathers ruffling nervously. Oriana's gaze softened. "By showing her the strength of your own dreams. You must offer her a dream so vivid, so full of hope and light, that it can inspire her to weave again." Finn's heart raced at the daunting task. He had never thought of himself as someone with big dreams. He was just an ordinary otter. But he knew there was no turning back now. "We'll do it," he said firmly. Oriana nodded, then turned toward the glowing structure. With a wave of her fin, she opened a pathway through the shimmering threads, revealing a tunnel that seemed to lead into the heart of the crystal formation. "Follow this path," Oriana said. "But be warned. The journey will test you. Only those with unwavering resolve can reach the bubble weaver." Finn and Piper exchanged a determined glance before stepping into the tunnel. The walls of the passage glowed faintly, casting a soft light, that guided their way. As they moved deeper, the air, or rather the water, seemed to grow thicker, charged with an almost tangible energy. The tunnel opened into a vast chamber, its walls lined with countless threads of light that wove in and out of each other like an elaborate tapestry. At the center of the chamber sat the bubble weaver, a creature of ethereal beauty. She resembled a jellyfish, her translucent body glowing with a soft inner light. Long, delicate tendrils extended from her form, weaving the glowing threads with an artistry that was both mesmerizing and otherworldly, but something was wrong. The threads she wove were frayed and dim, lacking the vibrancy they once had. The bubble weaver herself seemed weary, her movements slow and hesitant. "Who dares disturb my solitude?" she said, her voice a whisper that carried an edge of sorrow. Finn stepped forward, hesitantly. "We're not here to disturb you. We've come to help." The bubble weaver's tendrils paused mid-weave, and she turned her gaze toward them. "Help? What could you possibly offer me?" Finn swallowed hard, his confidence faltering under her piercing gaze. "We've seen what happens when the bubbles stop working. Our cove needs them. They bring hope and joy to everyone who lives there." The bubble weaver sighed, her tendrils drooping. Hope and joy. Such fragile things. Do you not see how the world has changed? The threads are heavy with fear and despair. I can no longer weave as I once did. Finn's chest tightened as he realized the depth of her despair. "But that's exactly why we need you," he said, his voice earnest. "The bubbles you create remind everyone that there's still light, even in the darkest times." The bubble weaver's glow dimmed further. "Words are easy, young otter, but dreams are what sustain the threads. Show me a dream that is pure and full of light, and perhaps I will believe again." Finn hesitated, unsure of how to offer such a thing. Then he remembered something his mother had told him when he was a pup. Dreams are the stories we carry in our hearts. Closing his eyes, Finn let his mind drift to his favorite memory. A sunny day in the cove when the bubbles floated through the water like tiny lanterns. He imagined himself and his friends chasing the bubbles, laughing as they popped and released shimmering sparkles. He thought of the joy and wonder those moments had brought to everyone in the cove, and how much he wanted to share that feeling again. As he focused on the memory, a soft glow began to emanate from his chest. The bubble weaver's tendrils quivered, drawn to the light. Piper, seeing what Finn was doing, closed her eyes and joined him. She thought of her dream of flying above the waves, her wings catching the wind as she soared toward the horizon. Her feathers began to shimmer, adding a golden hue to Finn's light. The combined glow grew brighter, illuminating the chamber with a warmth that chased away the shadows. The bubble weaver watched in silence, her translucent form beginning to brighten. "Such pure dreams," she murmured, her voice filled with wonder. "I had forgotten what they looked like." Her tendrils reached out, weaving the light from Finn and Piper's dreams into the frayed threads. As she worked, the tapestry of light grew stronger, its colors deepening and shimmering with renewed life. Chamber filled with a symphony of soft, melodic tones as the threads vibrated with energy. The bubble weaver's form glowed brighter than ever, and for the first time in ages, she smiled. "You have reminded me of the power of dreams," she said, her voice steady and full of gratitude. "I will weave again, The chamber of light glowed with renewed vibrancy as the bubble weaver's tendrils moved gracefully, weaving dreams into the bubble threads once more. Finn and Piper watched in awe as delicate bubbles began to form, shimmering with colours that mirrored the revived tapestry. The bubble weaver turned to them, her luminous form radiating warmth. "You have done something remarkable today," she said softly. "Your dreams, your hope, and your courage have restored what was once thought lost. The bubbles will now carry light and joy once again." Finn felt his chest swell with pride, but also with a deep sense of humility. "It wasn't just us," he said, glancing at Piper. "It was everyone in our cove, their dreams, their love for each other. That made this possible. We just carried those dreams to you." The bubble weaver's tendrils quivered as if in agreement. "And that is the essence of the threads," she said. "They are not made from a single source, but from the collective hopes of all who believe. You have reminded me of that truth." She extended a glowing tendril toward Finn and Piper, curling it gently around them. "As a token of my gratitude, I will weave a special bubble for each of you. These bubbles will carry a piece of the light you brought here to guide and protect you on your journey home." With a flick of her tendrils, 2 bubbles emerged from the tapestry. Finn's bubble shimmered with shades of turquoise and silver, evoking the playful glint of sunlight on water. Piper's bubble was a swirl of gold and soft pink, reflecting her dream of soaring above the waves. "These bubbles will light your way and remind you of the strength that lies within you," the bubble weaver said. Finn and Piper thanked her, their voices full of emotion. As they prepared to leave the chamber, Oriana, the guardian of the bubble glade, appeared in the entrance tunnel. Her scales gleamed brighter than ever, and her eyes sparkled with pride. "You have done what many could not," Oriana said, her deep voice resonating with warmth. "The threads are whole again, and the ocean will sing with hope once more. I will guide you back to the waters you know." Finn looked back at the bubble weaver one last time. "Thank you for trusting us," he said. "We won't forget what we've learned here." The bubble weaver's glow pulsed gently like a heartbeat. "Nor will I. Farewell, little dreamers." As Finn and Piper followed Oriana through the glowing tunnel, the water around them seemed to hum with life. The threads that had once appeared frayed now radiated energy, their light stretching outward like veins in a leaf, connecting every corner of the ocean. Finn glanced at Piper, her golden bubble casting a warm glow over her feathers. "Do you think the bubbles will really work again?" he asked. Piper smiled, her voice steady with confidence. "I don't think... I know. The bubble weaver's magic is real, and we've seen it come back to life." Their journey back to the cove felt both familiar and transformed. The ocean seemed more vibrant, the colours richer, as if the very water had been infused with the light of their dreams. Schools of fish darted around them, their scales sparkling like tiny stars. Coral reefs swayed gently in the currents, their hues more vivid than Finn could ever remember. As they approached the edge of their cove, Finn's heart swelled with anticipation. Would the bubbles truly return? Would their friends and family feel the same joy and wonder he and Piper had experienced on their journey? When they surfaced, the cove was bathed in the soft light of the setting sun. The familiar scents of salt water and seaweed filled the air, and the distant sound of laughter drifted toward them. Finn and Piper swam toward the shore, where a small group of otters, birds, and other creatures had gathered, their faces lighting up at the sight of their returning friends. "Finn! Piper!" called an otter pup, rushing to meet them. "You're back! Did you find the bubble weaver?" Finn grinned, pulling the pup into a hug. "We did," he said, "and she's weaving again. Just wait, you'll see." As if on cue, the water around them began to shimmer. Tiny bubbles emerged from the surface, their delicate forms catching the last rays of sunlight. The crowd gasped in wonder as the bubbles floated upward, each one releasing a soft, musical hum. One bubble drifted toward an older otter who reached out to touch it. The bubble popped, releasing a gentle sparkle that seemed to wrap around him like a hug. "It's just like before," he murmured, his eyes shining with emotion. "No, better." Another bubble floated to a young seagull who giggled as it burst into a cascade of golden light. "It's like the bubbles know what we need," she said. Finn and Piper watched as the cove came alive with joy and laughter. The bubbles carried messages of hope and dreams, lifting the spirits of everyone they touched. Finn felt a deep sense of fulfillment as he realized the journey had been worth every challenge. That evening, as the bubbles continued to dance in the twilight, Finn and Piper gathered with their friends and family around a cozy fire on the shore. Finn's mother nudged him gently. "Tell us about your adventure," she said. Finn hesitated for a moment, unsure of where to begin. Then he smiled. "It started with the bubbles," he said. "When they stopped working, we knew something was wrong, so Piper and I decided to find out why." He recounted their journey, describing the mysterious threads, the awe-inspiring bubble glade, and the wise but weary bubble weaver. Piper chimed in with her own memories, her voice full of excitement as she described the Pegasus constellation and their flight through the night sky. Their friends and family listened intently, their expressions a mix of wonder and pride. When Finn finished, his mother wrapped him in a warm embrace. "You've shown us all what it means to be brave and to believe in something bigger than yourself," she said. "We're so proud of you." Piper's feathers ruffled with satisfaction as the group began to share their own dreams and hopes, inspired by Finn and Piper's tale. The bubbles seemed to respond, their colors shifting and glowing brighter with each heartfelt story. As the night deepened, Finn lay back on the sand, staring up at the star-filled sky. The golden bubble the bubble weaver had given him hovered nearby, casting a soft glow over his fur. He felt a sense of peace he had never known before, as if the entire ocean had wrapped him in its gentle embrace. Piper settled beside him, her own bubble twinkling like a tiny sun. "Do you think we'll ever have another adventure like this?" she asked. Finn smiled, his eyes reflecting the stars. "Maybe," he said, "but for now, I'm just happy to be home." And as the bubbles continued to weave their magic over the cove, Finn and Piper drifted into a deep, peaceful sleep, their dreams carrying them back to the wonders they had discovered and forward to the adventures yet to come. The stars above the cove sparkled with a serene brilliance, their soft light mingling with the gentle glow of the magical bubbles floating through the air. Finn and Piper had found a cozy place on the sandy shore, their bubbles shimmering close by, while the soothing sounds of the waves lapped against the rocks. As the creatures of the cove settled into their nests, burrows and homes, the evening grew quiet and still, inviting peace and reflection. "Let's take a moment to close our eyes," came a warm and calming voice, like a soft current brushing against the shore. Feel the soft sand beneath you, the cool breeze against your fur or feathers, and the steady rhythm of the waves. The voice paused, allowing the natural sounds of the cove to fill the space. The distant call of an owl, the whisper of leaves in the trees, and the faint musical hum of the bubbles provided a perfect symphony of tranquility. Now, let's begin with a deep breath, the voice encouraged. Breathe in deeply, filling your chest and belly with the fresh, salty air of the ocean. And now, breathe out slowly, letting go of any tension, worry, or busyness of the day. As the gentle rhythm of breathing continued, the voice began to offer affirmations, each one floating like a bubble of reassurance. You are safe and loved. Feel the warmth of this truth surrounding you like a soft, glowing bubble. You are brave. Remember the courage you've shown in facing challenges and let it shine brightly within you. You are connected to a beautiful world of dreams, hope, and magic. Let this connection fill you with peace. You are free to let go of any worries. Imagine them floating away like tiny bubbles drifting higher and higher into the sky. You are light, and your dreams carry you to places of wonder and joy. With each affirmation, the gentle sound of a bubble, softly popping in the distance, seemed to echo the release of tension and the embrace of calmness. Now, the voice continued, imagine that one of the magical bubbles drifts toward you. It's larger than the others and glows with a color that feels just right for you. Watch as it floats closer and closer, inviting you to climb inside. Finn and Piper imagined their own bubbles, their shimmering hues reflecting their favorite colors. Finn's turquoise and silver bubble pulsed with playful energy, while Piper's golden and pink bubble radiated warmth and wonder. Step into the bubble, the voice guided. Feel its softness wrap around you like the coziest blanket. This bubble is here to carry you to a place of perfect peace and calm. The bubbles gently lifted off the ground, carrying Finn, Piper, and anyone listening high into the air. The sensation was light and freeing, as though all heaviness and worry had been left behind on the shore. Look down, the voice whispered. You can see the cove far below, bathed in the silver light of the moon. The waves are gentle, the trees sway in the breeze, and the bubbles continue to spread. Joy! You are safe here, held by the magic of your bubble. Now, the voice said, your bubble begins to float higher, carrying you into the sky. The stars twinkle all around, and you feel as if you're drifting through a dream. Look around and see what wonders are waiting for you. The bubbles carried Finn and Piper through the sky, where constellations swirled and danced like living beings. They passed a glowing bear that cradled its cub, a Pegasus soaring through the clouds, and a shimmering eagle strumming a golden lyre. These stars are here to guide you, the voice explained. They remind you that even in the darkest moments, light and beauty are always present. As the bubbles floated further, the scene shifted. The stars began to form gentle rivers of light, leading to a magical forest where trees glowed softly, their branches heavy with silvery fruit. Imagine your bubble landing softly in this forest, the voice said. Step out and feel the cool grass beneath your feet. You're in a place where everything is peaceful and calm, and you can rest here as long as you like. Take a moment to think of anything that's been on your mind, the voice encouraged. Any worries, fears, or thoughts that feel heavy. Imagine them as tiny bubbles, each one carrying a single worry. Finn and Piper closed their eyes, picturing small bubbles forming around them, each one representing a little worry they had carried. The bubbles floated upward, slowly rising into the night sky. "Let those bubbles drift away," the voice said softly. "Watch as they float higher and higher, growing smaller and smaller until they disappear among the stars. Feel how light and free you are without them." A sense of relief washed over Finn and Piper as they imagined their worries vanishing. The forest around them seemed to glow even brighter, its warmth embracing them fully. "Now," the voice said gently, "it's time to return. Imagine your bubble lifting you once more, carrying you back toward the cove. The stars wave goodbye, their light guiding you home." The bubbles floated down, the familiar sights of the cove coming into view. The gentle waves, the soft sand, and the cozy lights of the otters' homes filled Finn and Piper with a sense of belonging. "Step out of your bubble and feel the sand beneath your feet," the voice instructed. "Take a deep breath and feel the peace of your journey still with you. As you settle back into your cozy bed, let your body relax completely," the voice said, its tone growing even softer. "Feel the weight of the day melting away, leaving only calmness and comfort." The sound of waves lapping against the shore grew quieter, blending with the soft hum of the bubbles. Finn and Piper lay still, their breathing slow and steady as the voice continued. "You are safe. You are loved. You are wrapped in the gentle glow of the bubbles' magic. Let yourself drift into a deep, peaceful sleep." The stars above twinkled softly, their light casting a serene glow over the cove. The bubbles danced in the air, their delicate forms carrying dreams and wishes to those who slept. "Good night, little dreamer," the voice whispered. "Sleep well, and let the magic of the bubbles guide you to the most beautiful dreams." Finn and Piper drifted off, their dreams filled with the wonders they had experienced. The glimmering threads, the magical constellations, and the wisdom of the bubble weaver. And as the night deepened, the cove rested in perfect harmony, the light of the bubbles spreading joy and peace to all who believed in their magic.